Hello! The video that follows is a compilation of comic readings and commentaries from my series, Hellgate. This video covers issues 40 through 42, also known as the Black Flame issues, and is the finale of the series. Hellgate started in 2003 when I was 15 and ran till 2009. You can read it for free at jaegercomics.com. This footage was captured from my streams over at twitch.tv/Jaeger_comics. This is Hellgate, Battle 40, He Whose Power Rivals God from 2008. Last time on Hellgate, Battle 39, Holy versus Demonic. Neil and the Demon King continued their fight. Neil was finally able to pin the Demon King down and use the Dragon Twister on him, but the Demon King narrowly survived and used the gem to fuse with every demon on the planet, including the ones Neil had already slain. He became the giant demon god, and Neil could no longer transform. Finally, Neil was able to attain a new fourth transformation, with Courtney and Jessica becoming armor to help him contain his new massive power. Now Neil and the Demon God face off, as this final battle is about to reach its end. So first we cut to Illinois Central College on the outskirts of Peoria, celebrating 40 years. Wouldn't it be safer to stay put? We haven't seen a demon in like 20 minutes. The network says the Demon Slayer is fighting a demon. Maybe we can get some good shots. Elsewhere in Peoria, we see the giant demon god and Neil's new form. Jesse and Demonic look on. And what's left of Courtney and Jessica's clothes. Oh. Smack! Hey! What? Shouldn't you be explaining what's going on? Oh, right. Well, Neil's been subjected to the Jaeger Sword's holy energy for so long. When the need arose, he was able to create it on his own. And a large amount at that. But the energy was too much, and his body and the sword began to tear apart. Right, but what happened to Jessica and Courtney? A miracle. Don't just write it off as a miracle. No, it really was a miracle. Neil has the same amount of holy energy as God. With that level of holy energy, reality begins to warp and bend, allowing miracles to happen. Allowing Courtney and Jessica to transform into armor to control Neil's power. Courtney became Neil's armor. Jessica became the sword's armor. So Neil is as strong as God? He can't lose. But the demon god has as much demonic energy as Neil has holy energy. This won't be easy.
I'm supposed to be afraid of this little hummingbird?
Goes in for a grab and...
Where did he... Gah!
Neil cuts off one of his horns, grabs it, and smacks him right across the face.
Ugh.
Awesome!
I am no fool. I'll never be able to land a hit on you with how fast you are. Luckily, I planned for a similar occasion.
He starts to glow. Oh, he starts to shrink. Ah, now that's much better. Demon God, you couldn't have known Neil would get this strong. What do you mean planned for this? I thought that once I killed the Demon Slayer that God himself might step in. You see, I can't attain this smaller, faster form until I have every single demon in my body, and there's one place the gem cannot draw in a demon from. Hell. The Demon Guardian of Hell! That's right. Had he stayed in Hell, I'd be one demon short. So you turned the Demon Prince back into Mike and gave him the idea that if he went to Hell, he could stay normal for good. And really all I wanted was for you to pull that demon out of Hell and slay him, so he'd be in your sword where I could absorb him. Then I should thank you. Demonic said if it wasn't for that brief time being normal again, my final attack on the Demon Prince would have killed him. Instead, he was able to shield himself and turn back to normal. Are we going to stand around talking all day? This place is pretty torn up. Let's relocate. Now we cut to the news. President-elect Obama met with President Cheney today. CNN breaking news! Earlier today, CNN sent a reporter and camera operator to Peoria, Illinois, the city overrun by demons. The reporter was Henry Dieter and his camera operator, Matty Shade. Though we lost contact with them, we now are getting a live feed from them, and now we take you to them. This is Henry Dieter reporting live from Peoria, Illinois, the Demon City. Earlier today, me and my operator attempted to enter Peoria, but found the McCulloch Bridge was destroyed. We were chased by demons and took refuge at the campus of Illinois Central College. A while ago, all the demons in the area seemed to be sucked away. Now we stand outside in the campus parking lot, and if you look above us, tilt up. Oh, right. We're looking now into the sky over the Illinois River to the west of us, and we see two people flying up there. One looks to be a demon. The other appears to be an angel. I have a feeling that what happens next could mean the survival of all mankind. Back in Iraq, bro. Back in Antarctica, Zark. The demon god and Neil face off. I can see them up ahead. We've reached the river. Ah, crap. I forgot to bring Courtney and Jessica's clothes. Now when they turn back, they'll be well, no point in going back now. Guess I need a sword. The demon god rips his own arm off. The arm changes into a sword, and his arm regenerates. Neil goes in, and boom, blocked. Flurry of sword swings. A downward punch sends Neil down to the water below, but he's able to stabilize himself. Flies back up for another slash. Demon god dodges. Demon god slashes. Neil dodges. You're weakening. Yes, our powers are equal, but I'm immortal and you're not. You're getting tired. That seems to be right. God goes up and boom, kick and into a building. No. He's right. I can't hold out much longer. But how am I supposed to win before I pass out? This form is putting a huge strain on my body. He'll catch himself in the mirror. The locket. Jessica. Courtney. Flies up. The angel's back. Don't talk while you're filming. Spreads his wings. Back for more. Let's finish this. The wings on the sword spread, and then they start to spin. Useless. I'll be able to match any blast you send at me and outlast you. Demon god spins his own demonic energy. Neil sends a blast. Demon god sends a blast. They go directly at each other. Boom. Good old-fashioned classic beam struggle. Who's gonna win? I don't know. You can't win. We are exactly the same. We both have godly power that we gained by stealing the strength from others. You're wrong. You stole your power. You forced other demons to fuse with you. And I bet there are more than one of those demons that rather be slain and sent back to hell than stay stuck in that body of yours for the rest of eternity. I can feel my power weakening. Damn it. I can feel demons inside me holding back. What about you? You're stealing your power too. No. Courtney and Jessica came to me when I needed them. Their goal is the same as my own. Our power is united. Neil moves his wings forward. Surge of blast. No! 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 Disintegrated. And absorbed into the sword. Neil comes back down. Neil? Armors start to glow. Courtney and Jessica appear. Where did these clothes come from? Thump. Neil! Neil, wake up! Are you okay? Neil? He's not breathing. To be continued. And then we got this full color drawing of Neil and the demon god. Probably did that during class. Next time on Hellgate, Battle 41, Journey to the New World. 2,000 years ago, the original Demon Slayer journeyed across the Atlantic Ocean in search of the Gate to Hell, becoming the first European to reach North America. Here we are with the very first of the Black Flame issues. We've done red, blue, green, and now black. And then this area around the text, it started out black, then it was dark gray, then light gray, and now it's white. So we've come kind of full circle on that. Let's talk about this cover, because for the first time, it was still made in Microsoft Paint, but then a significant amount of work went into it in Photoshop. For the first time, a Hellgate cover was not like 99%. Like, all of them were Microsoft Paint almost 100% until the last couple issues where we put in like a few little like touches, like a hickey or something in Photoshop. This is the first time where you can tell I've gone through my Photoshop class. I now understand layers. I have now had the awakening moment where I understand what the hell layers are. And so what I did here is I did everything in Microsoft Paint except for the background. The background was probably just left a blank color. Then I brought it into Photoshop and I started cutting pieces away and making their own layers. So like the text and the flames are probably a layer on top. And then there was probably a layer for these buildings and the demon god, and probably Neil as well. So they're two separate layers. And then for the buildings of the demon god, well, behind them first, I put like this grayish smoke look that I probably put together. You can see a pretty hard line over here. So I probably manually created this. And then I took the layer with the buildings and the demon god, and I just kind of erased them at the bottom using a very like cloudy brush to create this look of like them rising from the mist. I was so proud of this cover. I had never been able to do anything like this effect before in digital art or even art by hand. And so I think this was probably the first moment where I realized like, oh, I think digital art might be my favorite thing. And now like effects are, I can do like a bajillion different effects. So, and I want to talk about this scene because this scene has been in my head since very early Hellgate. This idea of a giant demon surrounded by skyscrapers. Maybe not this, it was supposed to be more like a night setting in my vision, but here it's more of like a cloudy, foggy vision. And then Neil flying up above this. I think I was falling asleep one night, and it's when I used to fall asleep to the radio, and I believe Bring Me to Life by Evanescence came on. And in this half asleep state, I had this vision of this like city at night and this giant demon that was the size of a skyscraper, and this hero up above with his sword, and he does like a strike right when this one guitar riff happens. And that was when I knew how I wanted Hellgate to end. And this was, again, very early in Hellgate, probably within the first year, in 2003. And so everything in between was just me getting to that point. So yeah, I still like this cover. I mean, obviously I could do way better now, but like, yeah, this was a turning point. And yeah, so Illinois Central College, at the time, that's where I was going to college. It makes sense that this would be a good place to stay away at the action because Illinois Central College is on the other side of the river of the main city. It's actually in a city of East Peoria, and we have two new characters here. Henry Dieter is based off someone I went to high school with. I actually dated his sister. And then Maddie, what is her name? I want to make sure I get this right and not accidentally like out her real last name. Shade. Okay, yeah. Maddie Shade was based off someone I knew through Guy Online. I actually kind of met her through the girl who would later go on to be the inspiration for Jenny. I mean, I like this view of Neil, but I don't know, I just feel like this could be more interesting than just having them like stare each other down. Could have done more with backgrounds and stuff like that. But again, we get another look at Neil's new fourth form. You get the wings, buff as shit, armor, his hickey turned into a heart for some reason. Also, he doesn't bleed in this form. So like this is an active cut he got today, but the bleeding stops when he's in this form. Like this, it just stops. It's not like it's healed, but like it's just, I don't know how to put it. But that was just a decision I came up with. I just didn't want him bleeding everywhere in this form, so like the bleeding just stops. And guys, interaction. I like this interaction between Jesse and Demonic. Although this part's here a little harsh, where it's like Demonic's just kind of dumbfounded, and Jesse's like, "Dude, hey, you're supposed to be the explanation guy." And I do like this idea of, and I will definitely play with this later. Holy energy, when you have this much, it starts to bend and warp reality, which explains why God has lord over creation. Although he might need more than just that level of energy. I'm not going to give that away yet. That might be addressed later in Heaven Gate. But at the very basis, when you have that much holy energy, reality starts to bend. You might need something more to help control that bending, but that explains why Jessica and Courtney can turn into armors, because reality is a little bit warped around Neil right now because of just how much holy energy he has. This quick altercation. Even though I had this original vision of the giant demon, I knew that I couldn't really portray like a really interesting fight that would last a full issue between a giant and a small guy, no matter how evenly matched they are. There's just not too much you could do with that. And so there's this quick altercation. I like this where he just cuts his horn off and then smacks him in the face with it. And then the demon god shrinks down to this form, which I still like. We kind of got an inversion of some of his features. Like, that's still the Demon King's face there, but now his hair's white and he's got these darkness around his eyes. These are demon letters for D and G, demon god. I like the colors around his muscles and stuff like that. Yeah, I like this form. I like this quite a bit. I draw it a bit differently now, but and he's got the gem right there on his forehead. Yeah, and here I explain that he needs every demon in order to be able to create this smaller form. No demon can be left behind. And so that explains why he needed Neil to pull the demon Guardian of Hell out of Hell, because he couldn't have absorbed him if he was still in Hell. And Neil's, of course, grateful for that whole encounter, because if that hadn't happened, then he couldn't have saved Mike when he fought the Demon Prince. If you recall, it's been a while, if you recall, in Hellgate, in the canon of Hellgate, this is 2008. President George W. Bush was killed by a demon. Again, not a plot point I would make now because of the political implications and it's just unnecessary. And I think it's honestly in bad taste to have a sitting president die in your fictional universe. I didn't have that thought in high school, but keeping up with that continuity, Dick Cheney's president in this universe. And since it's the end of 2008, Obama has just been elected. So I have this quick moment where you see Dick Cheney and Obama like shaking hands. And then we have CNN breaking news again. And here we have, I've talked about this. Here we have, I think right here is our first, here's why you need an editor. Here's why you need someone to proofread your shit. I didn't read it this way in the reading part, but let's be real. One looks like a demon. The other appears to be an angle. There it is. There it is. L before E makes me cry and have to pee. I've talked about this was infamous for me. The moment where this issue where every time I go to write angel, I write angle. This beautiful angle up in the sky. You can tell by his angelic wings. So yeah, get a proofreader, people. Get someone to do a once over. And we got Brian and Hippo still watching on over TV. This is ambitious for the time. This down view, I like that. You can see the river below, some barges and ports and stuff like that. I think that's the Hooters. I think that's Hooters. Because there is a Hooters by the river. At least there was. I remember because I accidentally ended up in their parking lot trying to find prom one time. I like this, that, you know, of course, he is, he's immortal. So, like, he can just rip off a limb and it grows right back. And I like the idea that that's how he gets his sword. He just rips off his arm and it transforms to a sword, then the arm grows back. The fight begins. We have obligatory flurry of sword strikes, which we've seen like 4 issues in a row now. But I do kind of like this back and forth, like knocked down, kind of like hovers off the water, goes back up. Another thing I haven't really, well, I'll address in a second. Look at this right here. Look right there. Neil doesn't have to hold the sword. Neil is not always holding the sword. The sword kind of has the ability to kind of levitate near him. Now, he's always grasping it when he goes in for a strike. You see here, he's like, got it grasped here and grasped here. Because, like, obviously you want force behind your swing. So you want to go, you want to have all your strength behind that. But when he's not going in for a swing, he can let go of it. And it just kind of stays near his hand. Gets knocked to a building. This is probably, I would say, known as the Taft House, which is some projects in Peoria. I don't think I would have known that at the time, but now I've worked for the housing authority, and there is some projects right by the river, so that makes sense. If you know Peoria in universe, I have decided that this is the Taft House. Doesn't matter when Peoria's dead in this universe. The angle is back. Yep. Okay, so let's talk about the wings, because I really had trouble getting his wings right. They don't look bad from the side, but I was trying to go, a lot of wings, when you draw an angel wing, a lot of times people just kind of do like one joint, like it comes out of the back, there's a joint up here, and then there's the end of it. And I tried to do a more realistic jointing, and I didn't get it right. Because it led to there being these parts near the base where the wings are very scrawny. It looks very strange, especially when you look at them from the front. Like, it's supposed to be like they're coming down here and then up, but it just looks like they're just coming out of it. It doesn't look good. I render them. I'm getting better now, and I'm gonna need to get some practice in before this form returns in Heaven Gate, because I want to get it right this time. But yeah, I'm not happy with how the wings came out in this issue. His wings look better. I guess maybe I should have just kind of thought about, because his wings are structured the same. It's just they're mammal wings instead of bird wings. But yeah, here we see Neil doesn't have to touch a sword. The wings open on the sword, and then it starts to spin. I like this part. This looks cool. When they actually shoot the blast, this is actually incredibly boring. For one, I don't like that Neil just puts his hands out like this. They should be like this, but I didn't know how to do that yet. This is supposed to be epic, but honestly, I think it kind of looks like hot crud. You can kind of see where they had tape to hold the pages together as I was drawing across the two pages. And then a beam struggle. This part's... Okay, so I want to talk about this. So this part where the Demon King feels the demons inside him start to hold back, because I've had a few demons where I've established that they weren't necessarily super loyal to the Demon King. We have Aku, who kind of was always doing things on his own. You could tell that maybe he stayed in line because he knew he was weaker than the Demon King, but he was not afraid to like fall out of line if it meant a good challenge. Of course, the Demon Guardian of Hell is not used to being ruled. That's why he stayed in Hell, is because in Hell he is the strongest demon because of his ability to like basically wrap other demons up in his chains and keep them their powers restrained. It saps them of their demonic power, and so he never learned. He never adapted to sunlight, so he never left Hell, because he wanted the demons. He liked Hell. He liked it in there. He's the one that liked it in there. So obviously he's not keen of being merged with the Demon King, or Demon God in this case. And then we've kind of shown that the Demon Princess isn't really super into him as well. We'll definitely explore that way more in Heaven Gate. So he starts to feel demons in him hold back. He's like, what about you? You stole your power too. He goes, nope, our power is united. I like that. These wings are kind of bad. But we kind of see like here's Jessica and Courtney like inside of Neil, powering him with their power. You know, this angle needs work, but and I kind of regret this. The idea was supposed to be like Neil had his wings back, and then he kind of like puts one big like oomph into the blast by like flapping his wings forward. But instead I just drew his wings forward, but you don't really get the feeling of that movement, so I regret that. But then, of course, it's too much. It's taken over. And boom, we lose. The Demon God loses. He's slain. Only a gem remains, and all the demons get absorbed into Neil's sword. Neil glows, and the armor goes away. Courtney and Jessica are back, and Neil collapses. And like I said, in that fourth form, the wounds didn't bleed. They didn't bleed. But now that he's like back to normal, you can see they're starting. The open wounds are starting to bleed again. And we hear that Neil is not breathing. That's not good. And as for the sword, it's hard to tell because it's a grayscale comic, but you notice I didn't shade the blade in. My idea here is that the sword is actually pure gold now. It's Now that it has every demon in it, it is it's gold from top to bottom, except for the gem, which is still blue. I think, actually, if you see here, here's another, here's what it would look like. So that's red, though. Why? We'll discuss that next issue. And then here's a full color drawing I probably did in between classes or during class. That was Hellgate Battle 40, He Whose Power Rivals God. Thank you for that, Redeem, Gamer Boy. This is Hellgate Battle 41, Journey to the New World from 2008. Last time on Hellgate Battle 40, He Whose Power Rivals God. Neil, in his new form, fought the giant demon god, the demon made up of every demon put together. The demon god shrunk down to a smaller form in order to fight Neil. Neil began to tire, and the demon god got the upper hand. But in the end, Neil was able to overpower him with a final holy blast, and the demon god was slain. Neil had finally slain every demon. Courtney and Jessica changed back to normal, but Neil fell unconscious and stopped breathing. So we cut right back where we left off. Neil's pretty messed up. You idiot, you can't die now. You just won. I don't understand. None of these wounds are fatal.
The two of you changing back to normal should have been impossible. Neil must have used the last of his strength to make sure you girls became normal again.
He did this for us? Neil!
There is just no energy left in him.
My buddy crying. Almost. Neil! You're alive!
Barely. Astounding.
The Jaeger sword. It's completely gold.
That's because you got every demon in there.
It's finally over.
Congrats, Demon Slayer. You did it.
Shakes his hand. Beam of light from the sky. What's that?
My ride to heaven. But first I need the gem.
I think it fell in the river.
What?
Is a turtle. A turtle?
Thanks.
Bugger!
He says his name is Raccoon. He's a friend of Hippo.
Good lord. Bugger! Swims away.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll be watching.
And then all Neil and his friends are left behind. Meanwhile, in heaven. Demonic, good to see you again.
Oh, yeah.
May I see the gem?
Sure. What are you going to do with it?
I'll be taking it to the realm of the dead to be purified. Welcome back, Demonic.
God!
You will be staying here till you are needed again.
Will you freeze my soul again?
No.
May I ask something?
Go ahead.
What happened to Jaeger after he beat the Demon King 2,000 years ago?
I'll show you. Vision starts to appear in the clouds. 2,000 years ago in Europe. So here we're picking right up after the events of issue 37 when we saw the first Slayer beat the Demon King and slay him.
What happened to Mr. Demonic?
Probably in the sword with the Demon King.
Picks up the gem. What's that?
The gem that will allow me to rid all the other demons at once.
Picks up the sword. Attaches the gem to the sword. We get to Africa. Egypt. South America. And Japan. And they all get sucked up right here in Europe. They all get sucked into the sword. And boom, the gem merges with the sword. So it's over?
It's over.
The following night. Let's hear it for Baron Jaeger, the Demon Slayer! Yeah! Goat.
So what are you gonna do now? I hear the Roman Emperor offered you a huge reward once you slain all the demons.
And to think the Romans once worked with the demons against you.
My son Bronson will have to collect the reward.
Huh?
This is the proof you'll need to collect the reward. I gotta make a trip.
He hands over the Demon King's sword. What?
I gotta go seal the sword back in the Hellgate.
Where's the Hellgate?
Not sure, but the sword is telling me to go west, so that's what I'll do. When will you be back? Depends on how far it is.
You go too far and you'll hit the ocean.
I leave in the morning.
And we see the sun rising. Father, you could at least wait for Mother to wake. She'd want to see you off.
It's better this way.
Take this. In case you need to defend yourself, you don't need to be swinging around a gold sword. You'll draw attention. So, off he rides west. The Roman province of Lusitania, modern-day Portugal.
Farther west? Don't tell me the gate's at the bottom of the damn ocean.
Looks to the sword.
I'm gonna need a ship. You want us to take you west? There ain't nothing but ocean that way, you daft. I'll make it worth your while. Oh yeah? How's that? You don't look all that wealthy. You take me west and bring me back, and I'll give you this. So much gold, you got a deal. Good. Make sure to stock the ship well, this could take months.
6 months later.
Can we turn around yet? No, we must go further west. There is nothing out here. What is it you're looking for?
Land! I see land!
What?
Modern-day Maryland.
All right. I still have to go farther west. Restock the ship and wait for me. When I return, we'll head back to Lusitania, and the gold is yours. I don't think so. How do we know you won't die out there? We've been away for 6 months. Me and my men have enough. We're going back now and taking the gold sword with us. With or without you.
And he goes to touch it and...
Psst, ah! Only a Jaeger can touch my sword. The truth is, the place I'm going to, I'm leaving the sword there. You were never going to get it. What? And I can't have you leaving me here without a boat to get back. So I'm afraid you all have to die.
Cuts that guy's head off.
Captain!
He just slaughters them all. Not a good guy. The original Demon Slayer. Not a good guy.
Damn. I don't think I can get the ship back to Europe on my own. I wonder if there are natives in this land I can trick into helping me. Well, off to the Hellgate.
More walking. More blood.
It's getting worse. How much farther west must I travel? It's been weeks since I left the ship.
More time passes.
I should have brought the horse. Damn!
Passes out. But who's this? Slow down. Can't catch me.
Who are you?
I am Alu.
I have to keep going. I have to go north?
You are searching for the door to the underworld. It's only an hour's walk north of the village. That is why I brought you here.
How do you know so much about me?
Let's just say the reason we're here is to help you with this task. When you're feeling better, me and the chief will take you to the door to the underworld. And there it is.
Before we seal the gate, we should write a warning to keep anyone from opening it again.
I'll write a message on one side and on the other. Let's see. Let's try that again. Restart. I'll write a message on one side, and one of you should write a message in your language on the other side. We have no written language.
What?
I know the divine language. Perhaps I could write a message in that form.
Divine language?
The language used by the demons and the heavens. So the warning is inscribed both in demon letters and in German.
It's been 29 years since I first picked up this sword. All right, here goes.
Sword turns back to normal. Stand back. I will bury the gate deep in the ground. There's a dance and the rumbling. Earth opens up and swallows the gate. And demonic warnings appear all over the walls inside the chamber where the gate lies. It is done.
May the damn thing never be opened again.
All of a sudden, boop, boop.
Where did these come from? Otto? Chief? They left me.
But when he gets back to the village...
What happened here?
This village was destroyed by demons.
What?
Almost 30 years ago.
I don't understand.
When the demons first broke out, it was me and the chief who were killed first. Then they destroyed the village. Our souls stayed behind to wait for you, to help you seal the gate. Now that it is sealed, we may pass on. The village and its people were just an illusion. And I can no longer hold back your sickness. I am sorry.
It's fine. I gotta get back home before my wife and kids spend all that reward.
Goodbye. And he leaves him behind. But by the next morning, the demon slayer was dead. Jaeger. I wonder how things will go for Neil now. In Eureka, things are about to get very busy. To be concluded. Then we got Christmas drawing. Next time on Hellgate, Battle 42 End, the final issue. All right, commentary time. Okay, so once again, we have another cover where we can tell that someone has learned Photoshop. So once again, I sketched it by hand. I colored it in Microsoft Paint, except for the background. I left that blank, and then I took it into Photoshop, cut everything out into its own layer, and on the background, I made the sky and grass. The sky, I don't remember how that's made. It's a pretty simple thing. You just put in the two colors and it basically creates that for you. The grass is a brush. So there's a dark green solid hill in the back. And then I use the brush, which uses a variety of shades of green to create each blade of grass. And it looks really cool. And I'm really sad that Clip Studio Paint doesn't have that. I'm sure that I could probably find it or something and import it. But by default, it doesn't have that. And that bums me out because it was such a simple technique, and I loved creating grass that way. It was like my favorite thing. We'll see it one more time. But as we can see, the sword is gold because all the demons are in it, and the gem is red because the red gem and the gem on the sword have merged because he used the red gem to suck up all the demons. So kind of like the red gem is like in here, which is why when he seals the gate, the gem ends up in the Hellgate and it comes bouncing out at the beginning of Hellgate. I haven't talked about this yet. Of course, each flame color of Hellgate has its own phrase above Hellgate. For red flames, it was die now because I kind of wrote myself into a corner by making the words first and then making the language later, and have to figure out what two 3-letter words I could make with no repeating letters. Anyway, I believe blue flame is evil within. Green flame is like love's true form or something like that, or true love. This one, the black flame issues, I believe that says journey's end. But yeah, we got back to basically right where the last issue left off. I like this frame right here. Like, this was very ambitious for me at the time. Her like just like collapsing on him and sobbing. if you look too close at him, he probably needs to be redrawn. But like, yeah, this really works. Also like that sad face there. And this fake out that Neil died, but nope, he survived. And who's that there? Who's that there? Who's our new friend? It's none other than Raccoon the Turtle, friend of Hippo the Penguin. The little known secondary mascot, Raccoon the Turtle. This is only appearance. We'll never see him again. He lives in the Illinois River. It's got some weird legs for a turtle. I probably should have looked at a turtle before I designed him. But he retrieved the gem out of the river. How nice of him. I like this shot here where like Neil and Demonic are like, you did it. You did it, Demon Slayer. You slayed all the demons. Handshake. And then Demonic returns to heaven. I only got this thought like right now, but I was like, did people think this might have been God? We've seen this character before. We don't know much about him other than he seems to have a history with Demonic and that he helped create the gem on top of Mount Yahweh 2,000 years ago. But he's entering the realm of the dead, which means he's got to be dead because you can't go in there unless you're already dead or plan to die. Even if you're immortal, you can't go in there. But here we kind of get some more hints about Demonic's past. We won't get our full explanation until Heaven Gate, but he's like, are you going to freeze my soul again? No. He just gets to hang out in heaven until he's needed again. And then we kind of get, I wanted to show what happened with the original Demon Slayer after he slayed the Demon King. Demonic wasn't there for that, so this was the way I showed that, is by having basically Demonic receiving a vision in heaven of what happened after that. And we've seen this before, where the gem gets attached to the top, to the end of the sword. Although when Neil tried it, it didn't work because the gem was warped at that point. But back then it hadn't warped yet, so it worked. You attach the gem to the sword, and you can slay every demon at once. We can see Peanut Butter Jelly Time. Demon was in South America at the time. Africa, Egypt, Japan. This is important. That is a silhouette of Aku, the demon with the giant sword with the eye on it. It was established that Aku never got to fight the original Demon Slayer because he spent his time in Asia during the first outbreak. So this is how he got slain. He got sucked up when the gem touched the sword. And then the sword turns pure gold. And then I actually remember sitting at my buddy Patrick's house while drawing this page. We were like watching a movie, and I just had it in my lap, and I was like, sketchy. So yeah, we get this party of like these other, I don't know, Anglo-Saxons maybe. This line here, and to think the Romans once worked with the demons against you. I have never, I considered showing more of Bannon, showing more of his time slaying demons. That would have been in the third series, Hellgate Final Outbreak, but that series isn't going to happen now. So this was kind of me. I kind of had a few ideas like that maybe at some point the Romans work with the demons because they didn't like Bannon because he was a barbarian. But then eventually they came around because the demons are a bigger threat and like put out a reward and stuff like that. But we don't really need to flesh out Bannon anymore. But it was just, I had some ideas of what to do more with it. And he basically, since I needed him to have a son, because as we now see at the end of this issue, he doesn't return from this. So if he's going to have a descendant, he needs to already have a son, which is why Bronson exists. So this is also Neil's ancestor. He seems a lot nicer and more chill than Bannon. And once again, that is 100% just me drawing Neil without a ponytail and giving him stubble. Otherwise, it's exactly Neil's face and hairstyle. And all he knows is the sword is drawing him west. The sword says, go west. But he doesn't know how far that is. And eventually he reaches what is modern day Portugal. He's like, well, what's going on? What do you want me to do? Just keep saying go west. Okay, so he's got to talk a ship into taking him out into the ocean, which, of course, wouldn't make sense back then. Why would a Roman ship want to go out into the ocean? What could possibly be out there? I do like this look of the sword like being half unwrapped. And I did look up like Roman ships from that era. I don't know if this is the kind of ship they'd use, but that's what I found.
And also, like, Bannon just has this cough, and my head canon, it's my story. He has tuberculosis. And so it's getting worse as it goes on. His cough gets worse. He starts coughing up blood. And this I like when they go to try to steal the sword from him, they get burnt. I've never shown this before, but that's what happens if a non-Jaeger tries to touch Jaeger sword. You get burned. This is the first time I actually showed that happening. We've talked about it before, but this is the first time we've seen it. And yeah, and then Bannon just fucking murders the whole crew because he's afraid they'll take the boat away, which now we know that wasn't necessary. He didn't make it home anyway. I know I meant for Bannon to not be like, you know, a good guy, to be kind of like ambivalent and just be like doing his own shit. But like, this was probably a step too far where he just slaughters a whole crew of people just because he wants a ride home. That was probably a little bit too much. I probably wouldn't ride him that way anymore. Anyway. Yeah, he's journeying far. And I had an idea for like more to this issue, like him running into native tribes and stuff, and some being friendly, some being some attacking him and stuff like that. But ultimately I ended up just cutting it down to he keeps going until he collapses, and we see Alo again. And of course, as we know, Alo is dead. We saw this way back in I don't remember the number of the issue, but it's the first Slayer. When we saw Bannon first become the Demon Slayer, we saw the Hellgate first open. We saw Alo and the Chief. Basically, they went to the Hellgate because it was rumbling. The demons were trying to get out. They didn't really know that there were demons behind it, but they just had a sense that there was something in there they didn't want out. And so they tried to perform some sort of ritual to keep it closed. That didn't work, and they were the first to die. The Heartagram demon with his large claws immediately killed them. But their souls stayed behind to help the Demon Slayer eventually, when he would return 30 years later, to seal the gate. And we see Bannon here suddenly surprised that he no longer needs to go west, he needs to go north, which means he's been taken a little, he's close. He's gone far enough to maybe kind of overshoot it a bit. And the gate was a blank canvas back then, and on the surface, if you're wondering, like, what's the back of the gate look like? It looks exactly as the front of the gate. But when it opens, it's almost like a portal. This probably isn't historically accurate. I mean, as far as I know, I don't believe the native tribes around Illinois had a written language. So that makes sense. So that's why they used the divine language or the demon language. And then I'm almost positive that 2,000 years ago, German did not exist. I'm pretty sure it had not split from the other. Is German a Romance language? I'm not sure anymore. Isn't it like more of a Nordic? In any case, I don't think German as we know it today had come to pass yet 2,000 years ago. So, but I didn't know that back then, so I don't even know. But this is the same phrase that you saw in the Hellgate all the way back in issue 2. Basically a warning, do not open this. Unfortunately, when Neil showed up in 2003, he didn't know demon and he didn't know German, so he opened the gate. And we see this. He says, "Well, it's been 29 years." So we see this brief flash of what he looked like 29 years ago. You know, shorter. Also, that's the other thing. Bannon's beard has been growing throughout this entire issue, because every time I cut forward, I grow his beard a bit more, because you know, he doesn't have access to like he's not taking good care of himself on this trip. So his beard's growing out more. Then he seals the gate, and the sword changes back to normal. And the Chief does his dance, and I like this look of the gate kind of getting swallowed up by the earth. I think that works. You kind of see like this one tree kind of got like swallowed upside down. This doesn't work. It's supposed to be like, because if you remember in the Hellgate chamber, there were all these markings on the cave walls. And I don't think I do a good job of showing that's what is happening here, because we don't even see that it's inside a cave. We just see these numbers flash, or these letters flash. And then, of course, now that their job is done, they fade out, and then Bannon notices the remains of the Chief and Alo. The Chief was stabbed in the neck, so his skeleton doesn't really show that, but Alo had his head cut off, so you see the skull is removed from the rest of the body. But Bannon doesn't know that yet until he sees the village is destroyed, and Alo basically explains, like, yeah, we've been dead for 30 years. And then his sickness returns, and he doesn't make it through the night. And The original Demon Slayer died of tuberculosis alone in the wilderness of North America. Then we cut to Neil wearing a sweater. It's Christmas time. It says happy 21st birthday, Neil, in the background. And then here's an extra Merry Christmas drawing. I like this. This is cute. We got Courtney and Neil under some mistletoe that she is holding up over them. We got Jessica putting Demonic on top of the tree as an angel. And then we have Hippo as Santa riding Jessie dressed up like a reindeer. It's adorable. I'm sorry that it's sideways. When these were print issues, you could have just done this. My bad. My B. And next time will be the final issue. That was Hellgate Battle 41, Journey to the New World. Thank you for that redeem. All right. This is Hellgate Battle 42 End from 2009. Last time on Hellgate Battle 41, Journey to the New World, Neil has slain all the demons. He has survived the final battle. After a look back to the original Demon Slayer sealing the gate, it is now time for Neil to seal the Hellgate. We start in Eureka, Illinois. It's been almost 2 months since I slain the demon god Emporia. After almost 6 years, the fighting is over, but I still have yet to put the Jaeger sword back on the Hellgate. You see a Rosebud? I still remember the first time I came to see Courtney here. 7 years ago in 2002, Neil Jaeger, age 14, on his bike. Present day, 2009, Neil Jaeger, age 21, still has to ride a bike. I really need to learn to drive. Ack! Where? My room. Courtney's room. Why did you ask me to come here all of a sudden? Lift my shirt. Gah? But your parents are home. Is this the time for this? Just do it. Lifts it up and... Oh. Remember back? Remember what happened to her? The scar is gone. I'm glad it worked. What are you talking about? Remember Demonic's explanation for why I almost died after fighting the demon god? He said it was because you were making sure me and Jessica turned back to normal. Well, that's not true. You and Jessica were changing back fine. But I could see you reforming, and that scar started to appear. So I used the last of my energy to keep this scar from reappearing on your body. That's what almost killed me. Smack! Idiot! You almost died for something so stupid? I'm sorry. Idiot. January 19th, 2009. From Comedy Central's World News headquarters in New York, it's The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Later in the show. Welcome back to The Daily Show. My guest tonight is Neil Jaeger, the Demon Slayer. Before the break, you were telling us how you found the Hellgate, and I believe you left off with the gate closing and some head demon. So tell us the story of when you first transformed. Oh, that actually happened on the way home after I found the Hellgate. Jessie was still with me. March 2003, Eureka Woods.
Oh my, the only sword that can slay the demons, but you can't even lift it, can you? Of course not. Pluck! No.
Bastard. The rust is gone.
Can we go now?
I should take this.
So how are we gonna get that heavy sword out of here?
I got an idea. Some sort of levy pulley system. Just like that, Jessie. Pull it a little higher. Sharp. Bad place to stand.
Why aren't you up here pulling? Crap! Gah! Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Where'd the sword go?
I felt it go past me.
What the fuck? Holy kitten! Oh my god!
I can feel the sword. Invisible sheath! Sometime later. Do you think what that lizard said was true? That there are a bunch of demons around the world now? Well, a lot of those dark things did come out, but maybe they're all small like that lizard. You two look fun to kill. Who are you? Neil, look. His teeth, his ears. This might be a demon. Yes, I am. And you two will be the first to die. Neil pulls out his sword. Not sure of himself at all. The holy sword! Who are you? Are you the demon slayer? Yes. Now stay back. You're just a boy. I can take you on. Ching. Goes in for a stab, and Neil jumps back, trips on a rock, and poof. Fight back! I can't. The sword is too heavy. Just my luck. The demon slayer is a weakling. I don't want to die. Oh. What's that light? It's coming from the sword. I can... Oof. You became a Super Saiyan! Damn, he transformed. I feel stronger. The sword is so light now. Oh god, I'm blind! What? Huh? Oh, that's better. You're going down. Swing, knocks the sword away, and stab. Slain. Awesome! Wow. Why haven't they made an action figure of you yet? Any goals now that it's all over? To become as strong as I was transformed. From Warner Brothers Studios, here she is now, Ellen DeGeneres. Dance as she comes out. I don't know the Ellen DeGeneres song like I know Daily Show. We'll go in that commentary. Takes a little seat. Today on my show, I have Jessica Evans. She is friends with Neil Yeager, the Demon Slayer, and traveled with him as he's slain demons these last 6 years. Okay, let's get this out in the open. Is it true that you bat for my team, if you get what I'm saying? Yes, Ellen, I'm a lesbian. Awesome, are you spoken for? Not yet. We got this girl watching from backstage. So tell me, what was it like when you first found out about these demons and whatnot? I understand you knew about them before the rest of the world was notified. Well, I was at the bowling alley in Eureka with Neil and our friend Jesse. April 2003, Eureka. Deer Lanes, karaoke every Friday. See Jessica doing some pool. Crack. Neil and Jesse watching, and then, oh, who's this? Your turn, Neil. Neil lines up his shot. The guy walks up to Jessica, and oh, butt grab. Let's take this outside. Sure. They walk outside. You guys don't have to do this. He's bigger than you. Who taught you to treat a girl like that? I take what I want. Neil goes in. Dodges a punch. Uppercut. The guy pulls a knife. All right, we gotta really break him. Ready, Jesse? Yeah! Kicks him in the gut. Neil leans over. Jesse runs. Jumps off Neil's back. And kicks him right in the face. A flying kick! Ugh. Very good, Jesse. I did okay. Jessica, are you okay? I'm fine, but where the hell did you guys learn fighting moves like that? Internet? Thank you so much. What about me? I helped too. Wow. Well, we gotta take a break. When we come back, Jessica continues her story. I can't believe how long me and Ellen talked after the show. It's dark now. Let's see. If I go out back, then my hotel is just around the corner. And she goes at the back and... What, you decide you're a fucking lesbian and leave me? You think you're a dyke just because you've been working for one? Leave her alone. Who the fuck are you? Her new girlfriend? No, run away. Don't involve yourself. Grabs a pipe. Oh, bitch gonna fight? I'm used to a plastic pipe, not metal. Forgive me if I kill you. Sweep. Elbow into the face and absolute nut destruction. That is a hit so hard that even if you already have kids, like they die. Like they fall over dead. It rewrites history so that you were never fertile. Oh my god. That should hinder his sex drive. I'm Jessica Evans. What's your name? Kiana Nearhigh. Meanwhile, at Bloomington Airport, a plane lands. Look how I drew that. That was a good drawing. That's absolutely a drawing I did. The stairs go up to the plane. Jesse's waiting with some flowers and a steak. Zonk! Hippo! Zonk! Oh, they're reunited, and it feels so good. I got your letter. Hippo's letter. He ate some of it. Of course you can live with me. Zonk! Forever and ever. Zonk! There was a parade in Eureka. Zonk! Parade float. It was nice to see my friends again. Most had already graduated. Throw me candy. I still have 3 years of high school left to complete. But it was finally time. Eureka Woods. You sure you don't want to come and see it? I'm sure. It should just be you and Jesse. Zonk! Get off my head, you freaking penguin! It's Jessica, by the way, if you can't tell. Go down the hole. There's the gate. Son of a kitty. It's been almost 6 years since I opened this thing. Opens up the case. There's the sword. And it all ends with this. And the demons are locked in the Hellgate, and the rust returns to the sword. Jesse climbs out, and Neil climbs out. Take back your freaking penguin! Hold on. Let's go home. And Neil smiles. The end. See you some other day. And then the original drawing that started all of it. And then we got a photo collage. All right, let's dive into this commentary. So here we are with the final issue of Hellgate. Once again, mostly Microsoft Paint, with a little bit of Photoshop, although not to as good of effect as the last 2 issues. This is the first cover where we see Hippo. Hippo's never been on a cover before, so that's interesting. It's supposed to be all of them kind of leaving the forest after sealing the Hellgate. This arm hole's a little awkward. I think that arm's broken. I did use Photoshop to add like their breath, because it's supposed to be a little cold out. And then I used Photoshop for this gradient in the background, which just looks a little ugly. Like the black to gold. Doesn't work. Not how a sunset sky should look like. Also, I really don't like Hippo, how like yellow Hippo is. He should be more of a orangish gold. Also, there's no heart on his foot. I hadn't established that yet. It'd be a long time before I decided that he has hearts on his feet. But yeah, that's the final issue. End. Final cover. Honestly, just to talk about this issue overall, the issue is kind of a mess. Basically, I used the final issue as an excuse to just throw in a lot of stuff. Before the series ended. Like there was, we'll see it, but there's basically 2 scenes that should have been at the beginning of the series that I just tack on at the end because it didn't fit anywhere else. If I was to rewrite Hellgate, I would definitely put those in the beginning. And a lot of me just liking to show how much things have changed. You know, there's young Neil, there's current Neil. See that tree even grew in the background. Making fun of the fact that Neil still cannot drive. And then, yeah, this whole plot point where Courtney had her scar removed. It's a very cute moment where Neil almost sacrificed himself just to keep a scar from reappearing on Courtney. Because he feels guilt for her getting hurt here, way back in the beginning of the Blue Flame issues. And obviously she's pretty pissed about that. It's like, why would you risk your life for that? What is wrong with you? But the scar is interesting, and I kind of regret writing it so that she doesn't have that scar anymore. Because, you know, the series would continue, and I knew the series would continue. I planned for the series to continue with Heaven Gate. And now whenever I draw Courtney with little clothing, I can't draw the scar because I have canonically said the scar was removed. Which is, you know, the scar was interesting. I liked it. So, a little bit of regret, but still a cute scene. And this is a good smack right there. It's a good drawing of that. And yeah, so our mechanism for these flashbacks is that apparently Neil's friends are going like around on talk shows, which in hindsight is weird because like you don't just go on a talk show because you just did something cool. You're usually selling something, like you're promoting a movie or a book. If you want to think of Neil's like, and now here's my book about what I did. You don't just go around being like, hi, I did something really cool. Like, so that doesn't make the most sense. So Neil goes on the Daily Show. I loved the Daily Show back then. I still probably would, but you know, I just don't watch a lot of television anymore. I just stream stuff. But I watched a ton of the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And so I mimicked the opening like very closely. I did the little guitar riff here during the reading. Not the biggest fan of this drawing of Jon Stewart. And I was trying to like mimic the, you know, like he says something, the guest laughs. He says something, the guest laugh. It looks weird in comic form. Like Neil's just like laughing at his jokes. Doesn't feel as natural as when you're actually watching it live. Feels forced. But this was my mechanism for telling the story. After Neil opened the Hellgate. So this issue 2 was our flashback that showed Neil open the Hellgate, and it just stopped once, you know, the gate was open. What I never showed is how Neil first learned how to transform and how he learned about the invisible sheath. And so I finally showed that here. Now this page here, these first 6 frames are actually line for line recreations of frames from the second issue of Hellgate. And judging by, well, no, I guess these frames are all kind of all over the place. This must have been back when I was, why are these all over the place? Why couldn't I have just been like one straight line down the top and bottom? I don't know where I was at in my creation process at this point. Maybe I was still going, but anyway. But yeah, these 6 frames happen in issue 2. I just recreated them. And then we pick up where it left off, because in issue 2, it ended with him like, oh, I got the gem, I should get out of here. Well, now I gotta get the sword out of here. And I like the idea of like Jesse doing this pulley system, Neil being an idiot and standing under the sword, and when it falls into the invisible sheath, and that's how I learned about the invisible sheath. I kind of had that in my head, but I never really showed it. And I do like their reaction to be like, oh my god, invisible sheath. Like, they're very excitable at this point in the story. And they're not quite sure what's going on. They know there's demons, but they don't know if all the demons are being little lizards. And now we have Top Knot Demon again. Top Knot Demon again. Because if you recall, we saw that in when the first demon outbreak happened, this demon was the first one to challenge Bannon. And Bannon slayed him immediately. So during the first outbreak, this guy was maybe out for like a week. However it took for him to get from North America to Europe and face the Demon Slayer. He was one of the first demons slain. He was the first demon slain, except for maybe the Flappy Cow demon. So now we see that he's also the very first demon that Neil slayed, besides the little lizard demon. So this poor bastard has barely spent any time outside of Hellgate between either outbreaks. And he thinks he's caught a break here because Neil has no idea what he's doing yet, and he can barely lift the sword. But then it's the first time I kind of show what Neil has to do to transform right here in the last issue, is that he kind of like feels this inner light that he reaches towards, and that's how he transforms. And I like that Jesse just calls out here, you've become a Super Saiyan. A little drawing of a Super Saiyan. And then Neil thinks he's blind at first, but that's because his vision's corrected in that form, so he has to take his glasses off. And he wins, and then, you know, more back and forth between Neil and Jon Stewart. And this is important for Heaven Gate. Any goals now that it's all over? To become as strong as I was transformed. So remember that for Heaven Gate. Also, I like that my idea that if I was to go on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, my idea of dressing nice would be to wear a fucking polo. Because that was my idea of getting gussied up, is to put a polo on. Anyway. And Ellen DeGeneres, which, of course, now in the year 2023, Ellen DeGeneres is not as fondly remembered. I don't follow it too closely, but I know that there's definitely been some serious drama with her and that a lot of people take issue with her. I have not dived into it myself. I don't care one way or the other. I was never a big Ellen fan. I just never really, I mean, I remember watching a stand-up special of hers that I liked once, but I did not watch Ellen all that often. It just wasn't a network I ever checked out. And so, but I was like, oh, Jessica's a lesbian. She should go on Ellen. And they can talk about how they're lesbians. Because that's what they do, right? It's so awkward. I hate this scene. For one, yeah, why did I make Ellen this like kawaii, like Japanese schoolgirl-esque thing? I don't know. Just the vibe she gave off back then. But she was old then, too. I don't know what I was doing. Listen, back when this issue came out in 2009, I had some readers who liked Ellen, and they got a huge kick out of this. They're like, oh, that's just like her. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, this conversation's so goddamn stilted. Like, hi, nice to meet you. You're a lesbian? I am lesbian, Ellen. Sweet. Are you dating anyone? I am not dating anyone. Also, the only reason this conversation happens is because I need Kiana here backstage to know that Jessica's gay and that she's single, because of something I'm setting up later. And now we're cutting back to just before the events of issue 1, which ironically take place after issue 2. So Neil has the sword. He's transformed for the first time, but he's not, like, it's only just him and Jesse that know about this. And now we see what led up to the events of the very first issue of Hellgate. Neil and Jessica playing pool, this weird guy showing up and grabbing Jessica's butt. This, I kind of like, where he just suddenly just like puts that up to him. But man, it's just not drawn well. Like, the vibe doesn't come through as much as I want it to. But they go out, they're going to fight. Jessica's like, you guys don't really do this, you're dorks. They hold their own. I had this idea, right? So why can these two like dorks, put up this much of a fight? This is not Neil transformed or Demon Slayer powers. He's just able to do this fight. Why is this? I had this idea that when the gate opened, like, Jesse and Neil were there, and then some sort of energy from the gate like gave them the power of martial arts or something. I didn't go with that. We never see that happen, and that's certainly not the case. But that was the idea when I made issue 1, and that is why Neil and Jesse could like whip ass, like beat ass like this, and why they're so dodgy when they're asked about it. Like, how did you guys learn to fight? Internet. They didn't want to say, oh, the Hellgate. But like, I didn't go with that, so now it's just this weird, like, I don't know, they can just kick ass. And it leads to, right, Jesse, of course, kicks him in the face. And then this page here is a recreation again of the very first page of Hellgate. Frame for frame, this is the first page of Hellgate. The first frame starts with Jesse sliding across, not quite seeing Neil's face, and saying, very good, Jesse. I did okay. Jessica, are you okay? Although in the first issue, I spelled her name Jesse as well, but with an I. Dropped that because that was confusing. And they're like, internet, and then she hugs them, and that's how the first issue started. So it was also an excuse for me to recreate it. And then we can end it there because I'm not going to recreate the whole first issue. But that also makes it a really weird story to tell because, like, Ellen's like, hey, how did you learn about demon slaying? And then, like, all we do is learn about how Neil and Jesse kicked this guy's ass. But it's implied she'll tell more after the commercial break. I also find this interesting. So, like, apparently, like, she stayed very late, and if she just goes out this door, she'll reach her hotel. But I'm pretty sure that Ellen was, like, recorded on the studio lot. So, like, why would your hotel be on the studio lot? So, whatever. I didn't know that then. And then we meet Kiana again with her boyfriend. And we're going to meet him again eventually. And apparently, I didn't realize I was dropping F-bombs all the way back in Hellgate. There's like one F-bomb in Heavengate, and it's felt like a big deal. I completely forgot I had already done it in Hellgate. But this guy is apparently very mad because Kiana broke up with him. I guess she realized she was gay, and he's not taking that kindly. So Jessica absolutely destroys him. And I love it. Also, he's got square fingers. I decided that he would have square fingers. That's not like a mistake or anything weird. Why did I make his? No, I just made his fingers square. That was a decision I made. Square fingers. And this is how Jessica meets Kiana. Maybe we'll see more of her later. This probably took me hours to sketch that plane. No, it's a photo. I grabbed a photo off Google. I couldn't be bothered drawing a plane. So I just... It's not the first time we did that in Hellgate either. If you recall, the Colosseum was also a photo. But this is the return of Hippo from Antarctica. Now Hippo and Jesse can be together forever. So happy for them. And I like this. The note he wrote. Just chewed on the paper a bit. And then we get to the parade in Eureka. And, we got Mike, the former Demon Prince. We got Brittany. We got Lucas, always kind of an asshole. And then they descend down into the Hellgate. Son of a Kitty is a callback. Neil was like, that's what, I think Jesse actually says that line when they first fall into the gate chamber. But maybe Neil says it. But yeah, that's why it's in quotes like, son of a kitty. And Jesse's like, I remember that. And then we see a little flashback to what they look like back then, which is probably unnecessary considering we just had a flashback to back then, but whatever. Then Neil seals the gate. And then the Sword's Rest returns. Neil climbs out. I still like this drawing of Courtney. Like, that's a good look for her. And Jesse putting his hoodie back on just because, like, it's fucking penguin on my head. And then this last drawing of Neil, which needs more work than the drawing of Courtney over here. But still, it's not too bad. But that's where we end, is just with this face of Neil smiling. And this last page here, see you some other day. There is a ending to the anime Bleach called Tonight Tonight, which that's the last lyrics of the song is see you some other day. And that inspired this drawing. Full inked. You got them just kind of lounging, napping. You got Jesse and Hippo. You got Neil and Courtney. And then you got Jessica, which I haven't mentioned her hair. So her hair used to be like shoulder length, right? And kind of flat at the bottom. And then late in the Green Flame issue, she started always wearing it in a ponytail. And then I believe after the events of the final battle was the first time we actually see her hair down after that. And we see that it has grown out since she was putting it in a ponytail. So her hair looks a little bit different than it did at the beginning. Her hair stayed the same since the beginning for the longest out of all the characters. And she's got a little flip phone here, and you can't see it, but if you zoomed in really hard, it says Kiana on there. And then over here we have, this is the original drawing. I don't think we've seen this during these Hellgate readings because this was a poster, so it really wasn't part of the issues. But this was the very first drawing of Hellgate I ever did. I made it in 2003. After reading my first issue of Shonen Jump magazine. And I've talked about this in the early Hellgate readings. You can go back to that. But originally, the comic was going to be called Yeager, Y-E-A-G-E-R. That was going to be Neil's name. His name was going to be Nathan Yeager, my name. It was just supposed to be me at the time. And then I wanted a subtitle to it. So I was like, what do I call it? Well, I guess they'll fight demons. So Hellgate Yeager? I'm like, oh, let's just call it Hellgate. So you can kind of see, like, I erased it. Then I wrote Hellgate. It actually says Yeager on the blade, but that didn't stay. Because then I took this, right, and then I colored it in Microsoft Paint. So, but this is the original pencil version of that drawing that I sat down and made in 2003 that started the whole thing. And I think this is the first time we see this version of the Yeager Inc. logo of Hippo holding up the words Yeager Inc. That drawing of Hippo was lifted from the issue 35, I believe. And I made this as part of a college class because I need a logo. I was like, well, I'll just have Hippo hold it up. And that would stay it until the current logo. The blue and yellow logo, the one right below me. And then our last photo montage, them all lined up. We got Neil in Courtney's lap. We got Jesse enjoying a steak. We got Neil showing off the scars. We got Jessica grabbing a boob for some reason. That one's weird. Neil reacting to that. And then finally, after all of these, where Jesse's always alone in the last one. Finally, Jesse's not alone. He's got Hippo. And that concludes Hellgate. Also, I mentioned this is issue, as I said, this issue is 2009. This was the only issue of Hellgate to come out in 2009. It came out in January of 2009. And after that, I would get to work on something called Hellgate Report, which was basically a book that like went over the entire plot, had character bios, showed off a ton of art, went over story ideas I didn't end up using. It actually had the script to a planned Hellgate movie that never got made, and even had a little preview for Heavengate at the back. And I spent all of 2009 on that. That got done. I can't believe I made that in a year. And then before 2009 was done, we had our first issue of Heavengate released as well. So yeah, Hellgate, if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't know me as well by watching me on Twitch, this is where Hellgate ended. And then I picked it up with the series I'm still working on to this day, with the subtitle of Hellgate the Movie. We'll talk about more about that later. Heavengate. And so while this is the end of the Hellgate readings, keep an eye out for the Heavengate readings coming soon. So yeah, if you watched, leave a comment below if you watched every single one of these readings, at least probably 12 hours worth. Leave a comment below, let me know. But that was Hellgate Battle 42, and thank you for that redeem, the Gamer Boy. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button, and I'd love to read your comments below. And make sure you're subscribed so you know when the next comic goes up. Also, check the description for a playlist of any readings you may have already missed. And if you'd like to read ahead, all of these comics are free on my website, YagerComics.com. Bye!